from around the world, staff and students, Sai Ram and welcome to One World, One Family World Cultural Festival. From the vibrant spirits of Guatemala and El Salvador comes a wisdom that speaks to the heart of humanity. The Mayan teaching, in la age, la akin, I am another you and you are another me, reminds us that we are reflections of one another, and the cherished Salvadorian value, which means coexistence of different cultural groups, calls us to live together in peace, respecting and uplifting each other. Together, as we celebrate both Guatemala and El Salvador, these voices declare that our differences are not barriers but bridges, guiding us towards unity with compassion. This is the very essence of One World, One Family World Cultural Festival, a celebration where love dissolves border, harmony silences discord, and humanity walks as one family under the embrace of the divine. This morning, as part of Universal Wisdom for our United World Lecture Series, we are privileged to welcome a remarkable personality whose life has been dedicated to service, empowerment, and spiritual growth. Ms. Clara Esteban is a missionary and communicator who has spent more than 20 years walking in the path of faith and service. With a strong academic foundation, she holds a diploma in science and humanities as well as a degree in theology. Since 2001, she has been actively engaged in missionary work both within Guatemala and abroad, leading numerous projects that touches life across communities and cultures. One of the hallmarks of her journey has been a deep commitment to women's empowerment. By working closely with women from diverse ethnic backgrounds, she has designed and led training programs that enable them to become self-reliant and strengthen their families and communities. Clara, through her dedicated efforts, has fostered not only community development, but also personal and spiritual growth among those she served. Her story is one of courage, compassion, and unwavering dedication. Ms. Clara Esteban's talk will be played through a video. May we have the video, please?
Bendiciones para cada uno de los presentes en esta actividad que se está realizando. Es algo especial el poder compartir con ustedes a través de este medio. Pues ya no me fue posible estar de manera personal, pero a través de este medio quiero llegar a ustedes con el tema que se me había pedido. Mi nombre es Clara Antonia Esteban y bueno, pues soy de aquí de Guatemala y como ya dije, pues es un privilegio estar con ustedes, hablar acerca de un principio, de un valor que tiene su fundamento pues, en la palabra de Dios y que es algo que nosotros debemos de vivir también cada día. Así es de que es una bendición saludarles desde aquí de Guatemala y allá en India, pues yo sé que están ustedes en otro horario, en otro ambiente, pero es algo que Dios nos permite, gracias al Señor por la tecnología, que Él nos permite entonces poder escucharnos a través de este medio. Así es de que vamos a entrar al tema que se me había pedido y quiero hablarles acerca de algo muy especial. Quiero hablarles algo de lo que es una palabrita que en 4 letras encierra muchas cosas. En 4 letras nos da un gran mensaje. En 4 letras nos da una gran enseñanza y es esta palabra llamada amor. El amor se conoce como un valor, pero también se conoce como un principio. Entonces es una palabra que encierra muchas cosas en la vida del ser humano y que a través de lo que nosotros vivimos relacionado con el amor, pues nos damos cuenta de que de repente nos falta descubrir mucho, nos damos cuenta de que de repente estamos necesitados de mucho amor. Bueno, vamos a ir descubriendo varias cosas. Así es de que ese es el tema de este momento, el amor. Cuando hablamos del amor, nosotros estamos conscientes, muy conscientes que el inicio del amor, la esencia del amor, pues surge en Dios. Ahí está la esencia, ahí está el cimiento. Y hay una frase, hay un pasaje que yo quiero compartirles de esta manera. El amor es sufrido. El amor es benigno. El amor no tiene envidia. El amor no es jactancioso. No se envanece. No hace nada indebido. No busca lo suyo. No se irrita. No guarda rencor. No se goza de la injusticia, mas se goza de la verdad. El amor nunca deja de ser. ¿En dónde está basado esta frase que les acabo de compartir? Pues está basada en la palabra de Dios en 1 Corintios 13, 4 al 8. Miren la forma en cómo se describe el amor. El amor, como inicié diciendo, es sufrido. De repente una pregunta aquí podría ser, ¿quién no ha sufrido por amor? Bueno, yo creo que en algún momento, pues por algo, un amor que nos hizo daño, que nos lastimó, que algo causó en nosotros, un amor filial, un amor eros, un amor de amigos, ¿ya? Pero fíjense, el amor es sufrido. Y me gusta ese listado que viene ahí describiendo de cómo es el amor. Es un listado que nos hace pensar en que el amor, como dije al principio, es como la base de todo. Porque si nosotros amamos, estamos dispuestos a sufrir. Si nosotros amamos, pues no vamos a tener envidia. Si nosotros amamos, no nos vamos a jactar ante otras personas de que es que yo amo más o yo sé mejor la definición de amor. Si nosotros amamos, no vamos a guardar rencor. Si nosotros amamos, no nos vamos a gozar de la injusticia o a alegrar de la injusticia de otras personas. Si nosotros amamos, nos vamos a gozar en la verdad. Por eso la expresión así de exclamación es: el amor nunca deja de ser. Entonces es una exclamación que nos lleva a nosotros a pensar en que si el amor nunca deja de ser, es algo que debemos de vivir todos los días. Recuerden que les mencioné que el amor es un principio, pero también es un valor. Bueno, pues entonces yo quiero que veamos juntos estas dos diferencias, pero que en realidad está encerrada, está concentrada en lo que es el amor. ¿Por qué se dice que el amor es un valor? Bueno, vamos a ver por qué. Porque representa, dice, una cualidad positiva y deseable que guía el comportamiento humano. Entonces, es una cualidad positiva en el ser humano, es una cualidad deseable en el ser humano que va a guiar el comportamiento del mismo ser humano. En este caso, pensemos en la empatía, el respeto, la generosidad. También dentro de esto podemos pensar en que debemos de impulsar el bienestar y las relaciones armónicas. Entonces, viéndolo en esta cápsula que les acabo de compartir, es que decimos que el amor es un valor. Es un valor, lo vemos de esa manera. Unas relaciones armónicas, ¿verdad? Dentro de la familia, dentro de vecinos, dentro de amigos, dentro de personas que están muy cercanas a nosotros, pues es algo que vale la pena mantener. Se manifiesta como un principio ético y moral, hablando siempre del amor como un valor. Entonces se manifiesta como un principio ético y moral. Al inspirar acciones desinteresadas, o sea, no estamos buscando nuestro propio interés, sino estamos buscando el bienestar de otras personas. Entonces, inspiramos en esas acciones y también en la búsqueda del bien de los demás. O sea, cuando realmente hemos entendido el valor del amor, pues entonces vamos a pensar en los demás y no egoístamente en nosotros. Muchas veces nos encerramos en nuestro propio círculo, nos encerramos en nuestra propia vida, y no damos opción a que lo que hay en nuestro corazón, pues debería de ser solo amor, pueda transmitírsele a otras personas. Entonces, por eso mismo es que se manifiesta como ese principio ético y moral. De esa manera, cuando nosotros desinteresadamente nos preocupamos, ¿verdad?, porque la otra persona esté bien, porque esté cómoda o porque se sienta pues con valor por ser un ser humano, pues eso dice que va a ir transformando nuestras interacciones y nuestro comportamiento. Entonces, en todo eso está encerrado el amor como un valor. como un valor, como algo que nosotros debemos de tener siempre presente y que debemos nosotros de decir, bueno, yo quiero vivir con ese principio, con ese valor, con esa decisión, de vivir con esa manera de ser, ¿verdad? De que vamos a pensar siempre en los demás y no solamente en nosotros. Entonces, ¿por qué se dice que el amor es un valor? Pues por lo que ya dije. Representa una cualidad positiva, representa una cualidad deseable en cuanto al comportamiento humano, pero que eso nos va llevando a que tengamos empatía, que tengamos respeto, que tengamos generosidad y de esa manera impulsar el bienestar de las otras personas. Impulsar esas relaciones armónicas en el grupo donde nosotros nos desenvolvemos. Y por último, la situación está acerca del amor, que es un valor, es que las acciones a inspirar desinteresadamente, ¿verdad?, por el bienestar de los demás, nos va a llevar a transformar nuestras acciones, nuestras relaciones, nuestro comportamiento. En sí, eso es entonces el amor como un valor. Ahora viene la otra pregunta. La otra pregunta es, ¿por qué se dice que el amor también es un principio? Ya vimos que es un valor, ahora viene que es un principio. Y me llamó la atención cuando comencé a investigar, comencé a leer acerca de los principios y valores, y en realidad hay muchos valores, hay muchos principios que deberían estar, direccionando nuestra vida. Porque son muy importantes, porque son muy buenos. Pero resulta que cuando me encontré con el amor, que esta palabrita, como dije, encierra las dos cosas, es bien interesante saber, conocer, ¿verdad?, todo lo que implica lo que es el amor. Entonces ahora veamos, ¿por qué se dice que el amor también es un principio? Bueno, porque como fundamento de la ética, se expresa en acciones concretas de generosidad. Miren cómo se va conectando lo que es el valor con el principio, hablando del amor. Entonces dice que es un fundamento de la ética, se expresa en acciones concretas de generosidad, de apoyo y de comprensión. Ahí se va entonces desarrollando ya el amor como un principio. Demostrando entonces un compromiso, viene otra vez la palabrita que les mencioné hace un momento, un compromiso con el bienestar ajeno. Siempre entonces el amor como valor va a buscar el bienestar de los demás. El amor como principio va a buscar el bienestar de los demás. Entonces otra vez volvemos, ¿verdad?, a decir, no es centrarme en mí, no es quedarme encerrada en mí, sino que es poder ver a los demás. Entonces es poder demostrar ese compromiso de generosidad, ese compromiso de bienestar ajeno, ese compromiso de comprensión hacia los demás. Tomándolo como un motor de virtud, al hacerse real en una persona, dice que puede convertirse en una virtud que impulsa a darse a otros. Siempre se está pensando en los demás. Entonces, ese impulso de darse a otros de forma desinteresada, de nuevo, ¿verdad? Otra vez la palabrita ahí, desinteresada. Entonces, ¿por qué se dice que el amor es un principio? Volvemos y recapitulamos esto, de que si realmente hay amor en nuestra vida, si realmente conocemos el valor del amor como ese sentimiento tan lindo, tan agradable, siempre vamos a buscar el bienestar de los demás. Ya sea como valor o como principio, vamos a buscar darle importancia a los demás, vamos a buscar darle el lugar a los demás, vamos a buscar estar preocupado por los demás y de esa manera entonces poder demostrar que lo que hay en mi corazón es lo que estoy compartiendo. Moralmente dice que nos lleva a actuar bien. Seguimos en esto de que el amor es un principio. Entonces, moralmente nos lleva a actuar bien. Y el actuar bien, entonces, también va a ser una situación en la que nos vamos a diferenciar nosotros, porque siempre vamos a buscar el bien y vamos a dejar el mal por un lado. Entonces, de esa manera es que nosotros vamos a estar entonces viendo un resultado en nuestra vida, un resultado de plena paz, un resultado de plena alegría, un resultado de plena tranquilidad, un resultado, diría yo, de plena satisfacción. ya satisfacción con nosotros, porque estamos entonces buscando hacer el bien a aquellos que nos rodean, con aquellos con quienes convivimos, con aquellos con quienes compartimos, y de esa manera entonces poder estar estar tranquilos y decir, qué bueno que lo hice. Ya, qué bueno que ayudé, qué bueno que dije, qué bueno que orienté, qué bueno todo lo que hice por mi prójimo. Entonces, imagínense qué interesante es conocer esto. El amor es un principio, pero también es un valor. Y el amor, así como es un principio, es un valor, nos lleva así poco a poco, si usted se dio cuenta, nos lleva poco a poco a hacer algo más pequeño, en que lo que surge del amor en nuestra vida es hacer el bien o buscar el bien por los demás antes que yo. Muy bien. Por eso entonces, nuevamente les digo la expresión así de exclamación que les dije al principio, el amor nunca deja de ser. Yo creo que una persona que deja de amar, pues es una persona que ya no está con vida, porque de lo contrario, mientras estemos en este mundo, vamos a estar entonces viviendo de ese sentimiento que es el amor. Vamos a ver dos cosas muy importantes acerca del amor. El tema en sí es el amor. Entonces, número uno, el amor debe ser el fundamento en la vida de cada individuo, o sea, en la vida de cada persona, en la vida de cada ser humano. El amor debe ser el fundamento. Bueno, una de las cosas que hoy está afectando al mundo es guerras, pleitos, discusiones, situaciones negativas que van en contra de lo que es el amor. Mucho odio, mucho rencor. Pero fíjense, dice que si nosotros queremos lograr entender al 100% lo que es el valor y lo que es el principio en el amor, pues entonces ese debe ser el fundamento en la vida de cada persona. Un fundamento que nos lleve a que la paz que sentimos con esa facilidad de amar al prójimo es porque hay amor en nuestro corazón. La pregunta ahora entonces sería, ¿quién es mi prójimo? Bueno, usted que está ahí sentadito en esta actividad, solamente vea quién tiene a su derecha, a quién tiene a su izquierda, quién tiene atrás y a quién tiene adelante. 4 personas deben estar rodeándolo. Pues entonces piense que esas 4 personas son su prójimo. Y hacia esas 4 personas que son las más cercanas, usted debe de decir, bueno, el fundamento en mi corazón es el amor y es lo que voy a compartir con ellas. Entonces, si ya se dio cuenta, ¿quiénes están ahí a su alrededor, verdad? Ya sea de él o ella, pero está alguien ahí a su alrededor, pues resulta que él o ella es su prójimo. Y entonces cuando nosotros vemos que el amor debe ser el fundamento en la vida de todo buen ser humano, pues debe darse cuenta de quién tiene en cada lado y poder entonces demostrar ese sentimiento tan especial. Un buen cimiento es lo primero que se coloca cuando se hace una construcción. La construcción es a nivel mundial, todos sabemos. Debe haber un buen fundamento, un buen cimiento, una buena base para que esa construcción al comenzarse a levantar pues tenga solidez, que tenga algo que la sostenga. Pues fíjense que lo mismo pasa con el amor. Así como debe ser el fundamento, debe ser el cimiento, debe ser aquello que esté sembrado en nuestra vida para poder ir nosotros hacia arriba construyendo una vida de amor, construyendo una vida de buen principio, construyendo una vida de valores y en este caso del valor de lo que es el amor. Entonces, con un buen cimiento en nuestra vida moral, en nuestra vida espiritual, en nuestra vida de familia, de convivencia de familia, con un buen fundamento, con un buen cimiento, yo creo que usted y yo vamos a tener una muy buena relación con las personas que nos rodean. Por eso es importante que ese buen cimiento sea el amor, ese buen cimiento sea el amor. Cuando el amor es el fundamento, bueno, pues entonces va a haber un resultado. Y el resultado es que habrá atención de unos hacia los otros. Hace un momento les mencioné, nuestra familia, que es la más cercana, que es la que convivimos todos los días, a toda hora del día, pues son los que están ahí, son los que nos conocen muy bien. Entonces, esa atención hacia nuestra familia va a ser algo real, va a ser algo notorio. Quienes vienen después serían los amigos. Ya, porque los amigos cercanos, los amigos íntimos, pues también están ahí como muy cerquita de nosotros. Entonces también hacia ellos esa atención va a ser, como decíamos hace un rato, una atención desinteresada, una atención que no vamos a buscar nuestro propio interés, nuestro propio beneficio, sino que vamos a buscar el beneficio de ellos. Pero luego, no solo está la familia, no solo están los amigos, sino que también están los vecinos, aquellos que nos rodean en la colonia, en la cuadra, y no sé en dónde usted viva, pero hay gente así alrededor de la casa que también en algún momento pues nos topamos con ellos, pues imagínense esa atención desinteresada también. Fíjense que una de las cosas muy difíciles en la vida del ser humano es que nos cuesta muchas veces entender la actitud, entender el comportamiento, entender las reacciones de otras personas. Nos gustaría que todos reaccionaran como nosotros pensamos, pero eso es imposible. Entonces, hablando de los vecinos, que son personas ya en un tercer plano, ¿verdad? Que ya no tan cercanas a nosotros, pero que en algún momento nos vamos a topar por algo, platicar por algo, a comentar algo, pues entonces ahí es en donde viene la atención hacia estas personas, una atención buena, una atención desinteresada. Entonces, surge otro grupo también que son los compañeros de trabajo. Así es de que, miren, todas aquellas personas con quienes nos relacionemos, debemos de tener en mente que en nuestra vida debe ser el amor un fundamento, debe ser un cimiento. Ya para nosotros entonces poder tener esa atención hacia las personas, una atención adecuada, una atención amorosa, una atención sin egoísmo. Porque el amor realmente no es egoísta. Entonces, una atención sin egoísmo y ese sentimiento del amor verdadero va a existir en nosotros, porque no va a haber ningún egoísmo en nosotros. Entonces, quiero que ustedes juntamente conmigo veamos y analicemos esta palabra. ¿Han escuchado la palabra compasión? Bueno, pues fíjense que compasión, que es a lo que nos manda en sí, ya en resumen, a hacer, ¿verdad?, lo que es ese sentimiento del amor, pues la palabra compasión, veamos la raíz, dice que deriva de la raíz latina compati, que significa sufrir con, ya, o sea, no sufrir yo solo, sino sufrir con. Luego el prefijo com indica juntos o con. ¿Ya? Entonces no está hablando solo de mí como persona, solo de usted como persona, sino está haciendo referencia a alguien más cerca de usted. Y pati, ¿ya?, que significa sufrir. Entonces, la raíz de la palabra compasión, así que es seleccionada, por así decirlo, realmente dice que significa en esencia experimentar el sufrimiento ajeno como propio, con el deseo de aliviarlo. Interesante, ¿no? Fíjense, la palabra compasión es experimentar el sufrimiento ajeno como propio, o sea, lo que le duele a mi vecino, a mi prójimo, a mi familia, a mi compañero de trabajo, debería dolerme, debería yo sentir también esa angustia, porque ese sufrimiento ajeno yo lo debo hacer propio con el deseo de que se alivie, o sea, yo voy a sentir ese dolor, pero yo lo que quiero es que la persona tenga ese alivio, tenga esa salida. Entonces, imagínense cuántos compasivos estamos hoy en el mundo. Lamentablemente muchas veces el significado de la palabra no se logra comprender. Y a mí me llamó mucho la atención cuando estuve investigando todo esto, porque yo dije, ¿en qué momento yo he sufrido por alguien? Bueno, pues de repente sí ha habido algo, pero no al 100%, debo confesarlo. Así es de que todos estamos llamados entonces a conocer realmente lo que es la palabra compasión. Entonces, si nosotros estamos dando ese lugar a que el amor sea un buen fundamento, a que el amor sea un buen cimiento, a que el amor en nosotros nos haga tener atención hacia los demás, entonces ese fundamento va a abrir nuestros ojos, ese fundamento va a hacer sentir compasión por los demás, ese fundamento va a hacer que nosotros estemos convencidos de que estamos haciendo algo por nuestro prójimo. Así es de que el reto que tenemos es sentir compasión por los demás, sentir amor por los demás y poder actuar de manera desinteresada y poder actuar de manera en la que yo diga, este dolor también es mío, este sufrimiento también es mío y juntos vamos a salir adelante. Miren qué interesante es hablar acerca del amor. Número 2, el mayor y único ejemplo de amor hacia la humanidad es Dios. Mire, el mayor y único ejemplo de amor hacia la humanidad es Dios. Para Dios no significa un principio, no significa un valor. ¿Saben por qué? Porque Él es la esencia del amor. Él es la esencia del amor. No podemos buscar un principio en donde comenzó el amor en Dios. No, Él es la esencia. En Él brota, en Él nace, ya, en Él se origina el amor. Entonces, es el único y gran ejemplo de amor, porque Él demostró ese amor hacia la humanidad. Él demostró ese amor hacia todo ser humano. Él demostró ese amor a usted y a mí. Ahora, ¿de qué manera? Otra vez volvemos a la Biblia y ahí en San Juan 3:16, que es uno de los evangelios, encontramos el versículo muy conocido que nos habla de cómo Dios demostró su amor hacia nosotros. Y dice, porque de tal manera amó Dios al mundo, que ha dado a su Hijo unigénito, para que todo aquel que en Él cree no se pierda, mas tenga vida eterna. Confirmado. No tenemos por qué buscar más. Confirmado. Entonces, si la Biblia nos lo asegura, que es la palabra de Dios, ¿verdad? Nos asegura ese mensaje, nos asegura ese principio, nos asegura ese valor, entonces nosotros tenemos que tener presente que ese amor incondicional de Dios, ese amor puro de Dios, ese amor un amor sin mancha, un amor puro, como dije, un amor verdadero, pues se ha demostrado. ¿Y de qué manera? Pues el versículo nos lo dice, dio a su único Hijo, para que todo aquel que en Él cree no se pierda, mas tenga vida eterna. Dios, por ser la esencia del amor, Dios por ser el origen del amor, Dios por conocer que a nosotros nos iba a costar luchar con este sentimiento del amor, porque muchas veces no lo demostramos como debe de ser, nos dio este gran ejemplo. Haber enviado a su único Hijo, haber enviado a ese Salvador, haber enviado a Jesús como su Hijo, para que entonces toda la humanidad tuviera ese amor verdadero, le conociera con el amor verdadero. Y la palabra del Señor nos está diciendo que Él lo envió, Él se despojó de su Hijo. El Hijo tenía toda la honra, toda la gloria, toda la alabanza allá en el cielo, sin embargo estuvo dispuesto a obedecer. Y ahora esta obediencia la vemos también como un acto de amor, como un acto no solo de obediencia, sino de entregarse por amor, para que hoy el mundo entero sepa que la esencia del amor es Dios, para que todo el mundo sepa que lo único que Dios busca es dar amor, ya, llenar de amor la vida del ser humano, llenar de amor la vida de cada persona. Y entonces hoy podemos verlo, hoy podemos experimentarlo. Y por eso es que les dije que el punto número 2 era este: el mayor y único ejemplo de amor hacia la humanidad es Dios. Nosotros podemos amar, es cierto, nuestro esposo, nuestros hijos, nuestros nietos, qué sé yo, a toda la familia, les amamos, pero en algún momento va a haber algo en lo que nosotros vamos a poner como cierta condición. Sin embargo, el único amor grande, el mayor amor hacia la humanidad, solamente lo ha manifestado Dios. Así es de que este tema acerca del amor es muy interesante ver cómo Dios se manifiesta, porque es un principio y es un valor, que fue lo que vimos al inicio, pero para Dios no, porque en Dios se origina el amor, porque en Dios está el origen del amor, y que así como en Él es un origen, es una vivencia, es algo que está manifestando, pues nosotros debemos de tomarlo, como les decía, como un buen cimiento, como un buen fundamento, como algo que nosotros estemos para compartir. Una pregunta para ir terminando sería, ¿De qué está lleno nuestro corazón? ¿Qué es lo que guardamos en nuestro corazón? Ustedes están allá en este país tan lejano, India. Nosotros estamos aquí en Guatemala, pero eso no nos hace diferentes como seres humanos, porque los sentimientos son amor aquí en Guatemala, amor allá en India. Los sentimientos son los mismos. Ahora la pregunta, como les dije, ¿qué hay en nuestro corazón? ¿Hay amor, que sería lo positivo, que sería lo bueno? ¿O hay otra clase de sentimientos? Entonces, si el amor es un principio y es un sentimiento, es un valor que debemos de tomar muy en cuenta, no olvidemos permitir que Dios ponga su amor en nuestro corazón. Decirle que venga Él y que llene nuestra vida, nuestro corazón de amor, y que de eso se desborde nuestro diario vivir, que de eso se desborden nuestras acciones, que de eso se desborden nuestras palabras, para poder entonces compartirle a los demás que no solo tenemos amor hacia todos, sino que tenemos esa compasión de que el sufrimiento de otra persona va a ser mi sufrimiento, pero que juntos vamos a buscar salir de ese sufrimiento. Así es que Dios sigue mostrando su amor, Dios sigue manifestando su amor hacia la humanidad, y como dije, termino con esta frase: el amor nunca deja de ser. Dios les bendiga y saludos hasta la India.
We express our gratitude to Ms. Clara Esteban for sharing her wisdom from Guatemala with us this morning. We shall have short 15 minutes break and then reconvene for Satya Darpan.
विघ्नेश्वरं भजरे मानस विघ्नहरं भजरे 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 भजरे विघ्नेश्वरं भजरे मानस विघ्नहरं भजरे विघ्नेश्वरं भजरे मानस विघ्नहरं भजरे जया शङ्करा भावगोचरा शिवचिदम्बरा ओङ्कारा गोचरा शिवचिदम्बरा ओङ्कारा शङ्करा भावगोचरा शिवचिदम्बरा ओङ्कारा पतिविहारा पापविदूरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जया शङ्करा भावगोचरा शिवचिदम्बरा ओङ्कारा पतिविहारा पापविदूरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जगदोद्धारा ब्रह्मपरा जया शङ्करा भावगोचरा शिवचिदम्बरा ओङ्कारा ईश्वराम्बा प्रियतनया साईनाथ साई नारायणा सत्य नारायणा साई नारायणा सत्य साई नारायणा सत्य नारायणा साई नारायणा सत्य नारायणा कलियुग में अवतार लिए कलियुग में अवतार लिए कलियुग में अवतार लिए कलियुग में अवतार लिए कण कण में तेरा नाम साई कण कण में तेरा नाम साई कण कण में तेरा नाम कण कण में तेरा नाम कण कण में तेरा नाम ओ साई कण कण में तेरा नाम ईश्वरांबा प्रियतनया साई नारायणा साई नारायणा सत्य नारायणा साई नारायणा सत्य नारायणा कलियुग में अवतार लिए कलियुग में अवतार लिए कण कण में तेरा नाम साई कण कण में तेरा नाम साई कण कण में तेरा नाम कण कण में तेरा नाम ओ साई कण कण में तेरा नाम ईश्वरांबा प्रियतनया साई नारायणा
श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा श्री गुरु प्रतिवासा श्री
नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी, नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी, नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी, नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी। जय हे शंभो, जय हे शंभो, जय हे शंभो, जय हे शंभो। नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी, नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी। नंदीवाहना नागाभरणा, नंदीवाहना नागाभरणा, नंदीवाहना नागाभरणा। हाललोचना परम शिवा, हाललोचना परम शिवा, हाललोचना परम शिवा, हाललोचना परम शिवा। पावन चरणा पाहि महेशा, पावन चरणा पाहि महेशा, पावन चरणा पाहि महेशा, पावन चरणा पाहि महेशा। नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी, नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी। जय हे शंभो, जय हे शंभो। नटराजा है त्रिपुरारी, राम हरे साईनाथ भगवान, 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 सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान, सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, संघं शरणं गच्छामि, संघं शरणं गच्छामि, संघं शरणं गच्छामि, सत्य साई शरणं गच्छामि, सत्य साई शरणं गच्छामि, साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान, सत्यं शिवं सुन्दरं साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, बुद्धं शरणं गच्छामि, धम्मं शरणं गच्छामि, संघं शरणं गच्छामि, सत्य साई शरणं गच्छामि, सत्य साई शरणं गच्छामि, साईनाथ भगवान, साईनाथ भगवान, राम रहीम को भजने वाले तेरे पुजारी बाबा, 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 वेद कुरान तुम ही हो वेद कुरान तेरा नाम एक सहारा 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 एक सहारा राम रहीम को भजने वाले तेरे पुजारी बाबा राम रहीम को भजने वाले तेरे पुजारी बाबा तेरा नाम एक सहारा एक सहारा तुम ही हो गीता तुम ही रामायण तुम ही हो गीता तुम ही रामायण तुम ही हो वेद कुरान तुम ही हो वेद कुरान तेरा नाम एक सहारा एक सहारा तेरा नाम एक सहारा तेरा नाम एक सहारा नाम एक सहारा तेरा नाम एक सहारा एक सहारा तेरा नाम एक सहारा तेरा नाम एक सहारा राम रहीम को भजने वाले तेरे पुजारी बाबा शंकर शंकर सांब सदा शिव शंकर शंकर शंभो 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 चंद्रकलाधर शंकरा गंगजटाधर शंकरा चंद्रकलाधर शंकरा गंगजटाधर शंकरा चंद्रकलाधर शंकरा गंगजटाधर शंकरा चंद्रकलाधर शंकरा गंगजटाधर शंकरा शंकर शंकर सांब सदा शिव शंकर शंकर शंभो शंकर शंकर सांब सदा शिव शंकर शंकर शंभो कैलासवासा शंकरा त्रिशूलधारी शंकरा शंकरा कैलासवासा शङ्कर साम्ब सदा शिव शङ्कर शङ्कर शम्भो शङ्कर साम्ब सदा शिव शङ्कर शङ्कर शम्भो चन्द्रकलाधर शङ्करा गङ्गजटाधर शङ्करा चन्द्रकलाधर शङ्करा गङ्गजटाधर शङ्करा शङ्कर शङ्कर साम्ब सदा शिव शङ्कर शङ्कर शम्भो शङ्कर शङ्कर साम्ब सदा शिव शङ्कर शङ्कर शम्भो कैलासवासा शङ्करा त्रिशूलधारी शङ्करा शङ्करा त्रिशूलधारी शङ्करा शिवाय भवाय शिवाय भवाय शिवा भवाहर चन्द्रशेखरा शिवा भवाहर चन्द्रशेखरा शिवा भवाहर चन्द्रशेखरा शिवा भवाहर चन्द्रशेखरा शङ्कर शङ्कर साम्ब सदा शिव शङ्कर शङ्कर शम्भो
रघुपते श्री रामचन्द्र राघवा दयानिधे 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 पशुपते श्री पार्वतीशा शङ्करा सदा शिवा 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 माधवा श्री राधिकेशा गोविन्दा हरे कृष्णा 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 रघुपते श्री रामचन्द्र राघवा दयानिधे पशुपते श्री रामचन्द्र राघवा दयानिधे पशुपते श्री पार्वतीशा शङ्करा सदा शिवा पशुपते श्री पार्वतीशा शङ्करा सदा शिवा माधवा श्री राधिकेशा गोविन्दा हरे कृष्णा 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 रघुपते श्री रामचन्द्र राघवा दयानिधे
ॐ हरि ओम भजो रे सदा हरि ओम
Shri Sai Ram, offering our collective salutations at the lotus feet of Sadhguru, respected elders, devotees from around the world, staff and students, a warm and hearty welcome. This morning, around 9:30 a.m., Sadhguru inaugurated the new boys' hostel block named Premamrutham. This building will accommodate all the MBBS, nursing and paramedical students of the Sri Madhusudan Sai Institute of Medical Sciences and Research. After the inauguration, Sadhguru visited both the students and staff rooms, after which there was a small gathering wherein contractors and consultants were felicitated and laborers were blessed with blankets. Senior project engineer Mr. Karthik Patel shared how the entire project came up within a period of 7 months. Later, there was a video presentation prepared by the students sharing their experiences and offering their gratitude to Sadhguru. Dr. B.N. Narasimhamurthy sir, in his address, said that the best way to express gratitude to Sadhguru is by developing a sense of discrimination and by doing things to please him. He urged the students to live up to Sadhguru's expectations by loving each other and working together for the mission of free global healthcare. Sadhguru in his talk began by expressing his gratitude to Mr. Sandeep and Mrs. Gauri, and also to Mr. Bobji and Mrs. Seethamma, who have supported the construction of the building. He said that the building will become a center for inspiration and excellence from where people with creative hands, competent heads, and compassionate hearts will emerge. He said that it is easier to construct buildings, but it is the people inside who matter, and it is tougher to transform humans. Finally, he concluded that human relationships are the most important, and it is very rare to develop relationships with selfless people. Therefore, one must cherish these relationships. The program concluded with Sadhguru blessing everyone. To briefly summarize Sadhguru's discourse on the Ashtavakra Gita yesterday morning, he began by quoting a verse from the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, emphasizing that the divine can be realized both as Sakara, with a form, and Nirakara, or formless. He explained how Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, after practicing the paths laid down by various religious traditions, attained the understanding and proclaimed, Jitne mat utne pat, as many religions, those many paths to reach the divine. He then explained Janaka's realization that the body, the conceptions of heaven and hell, and of bondage and liberation are all illusions generated by the mind, and that in reality, we are the pure consciousness which is ever free. He stated that a jnani is never lonely, but always alone, deriving great joy from solitude. He advised that till we become spiritually strong and stable, we must avoid the company of those who will distract us from the spiritual path. Now we pray to Sadhguru to bless us all with his divine discourse on the Ashtavakra Gita.
सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
As we journey through the mind of the great King Janaka, who has realized the self and is now in wonderment of all that he is experiencing when he looks at the world from that point of being the self. He looks at his body, he looks at the world around, he looks at everything that exists in that world which is around, and considers all of them as mere illusions, who should be given only so much importance as needed and not more. Yesterday we also discussed the idea that though body is, sometimes we say body is not me, or I am not the body, but we still tend to say body is nevertheless mine. And that again leads to an idea of preserving and protecting and providing for, which is fine as long as it is helping you on the spiritual path, but not beyond that. Excesses have to be absolutely avoided. Ati sarvatra varjayet. It is like putting the cart before the horse if you put too much of attention on the body in front of our spiritual progress. So many people have also taken to the path of tormenting their bodies to make sure that they do not engage too much with the body and the senses. But that is not the way. Body is just a vehicle. Vehicle is not the reason why one goes to meet with an accident. It's the driver who drives, who sits inside. And so mind has to be purified. All the actions are for purification of mind. Janaka's mind was purified. Therefore, he was able to experience all these great wisdom. Impure mind is incapable of experiencing all this. And they believe that everything is real, and so they keep running behind like chasing mirages. And they never get to drink a drop of water because there was no water in the first place. Likewise, the joys of the world are also appearing to be very real, but when you investigate thoroughly, you realize that they are also like mere apparitions. They really don't truly give you the joy. It appears that it gives you the joy, but the joy is actually coming from inside you, not from the outside. The outside is a mere reflection of your inner self, inner joy. So if you are a happy person, even in difficult circumstances, you can be happy. And if you are a sad person from inside, even in happy situations, you become sad. How many people we have seen? They can never be joyful because in everything they find some mistake, some shortcoming, or some thing which is not nice. They're constant fault finders. They keep themselves always busy with negativity because their minds are negative. So even if you put them in a nice place with all the nice things, they cannot appreciate because they're so bitter inside that even if the best things are given to them, they cannot fully appreciate it because their minds are not pure. That's why Adi Shankaracharya says, Karmani Chitya Shuddhyartham. For all purification of mind only, actions have to be undertaken. And if any action is leading to impurity of the mind like attachment and ego, then that action should be shunned. Because that is furthering the cause of your spiritual downfall by enhancing or cementing the existing ego and attachment towards things. So actions that are selfless in nature are to be undertaken. Those actions undertaken through the body are perfectly okay, permitted by the scriptures, permitted by dharma, because they will purify the mind. And that purification of mind will ultimately lead to the realization of the self. Yesterday I also told that, take care of your body only so much, don't overdo it. And that's why there are certain spiritual disciplines, yama, niyama, pranayama, pratyahara. These all are various spiritual disciplines that lead to the ultimate spiritual realization through asana, dharana, dhyana and samadhi. The Ashtanga Yoga of Patanjali talks about 8 steps. Yama and niyama are the very first basics. Yama is the exercise of self-discipline, which is required to exist in a society. In a society, everybody needs to follow certain disciplines. If you don't follow the rules, then there will be accidents. That is the reason why our rishis were very clever. They said there have to be certain behavioral standards, both in community and as in personal life. And so yama, niyama, pranayama and pratyahara, these are the 4 things in the Patanjali Yoga Sutra which are disciplines. The next 4 things are spiritual evolutions. Then you come to asana, certain pose you must undertake while meditating. Then pratyahara, pranayama, asana. Then dhyana, concentration of mind. Dharana, holding that mind in one place steadily. And samadhi, that is the ultimate transcendence of the mind. These are the things. But the 4 steps of yama, niyama, pranayama and pratyahara, which is regulation, moderation, is very important. Those things are what our hostels are. I also was mentioning that one must eat in a limited way, yukta ahara viharasya, which is also a concept from our scriptures. Saying, yes, live in the world, but do not get overtly involved with the world. Just as much as needed, that's all you should take. Don't get extra engagements in the world. Don't take upon yourself. What is necessary. Beyond that, do not give it too much of importance. Maybe I should tell this. At some point in time, I was giving a lecture on yama, niyama and all these things. I think there's some new person who had joined our mission. And she had come with great hope that she'll come here and realize the self or something like that. But then she came at the wrong time. She came during Dasara and that whole Dasara and all those functions. She saw everything is so grand over here. It hardly looks like an ashram. Everybody wears such nice silk saris. Everybody seems to be wearing jewelry. And all the students are also so well dressed. And look at the Swamiji himself. He is the epitome of all the fashion that is possible on earth. Comes in new dresses every day, and look at his way he moves around, his car and his seat and his throne and all this grandeur of a hall. So she was totally confused about the whole thing. She felt that if you are going to an ashram, what do you expect? Everybody will wearing some faded cotton ochre robe, and the people would not be so mindful about their looks and things like that. And all the women would be dressed in some single colored, some sari. There'll be men who are like ascetics. So some imagination of a spiritual place, which is the standard thing. You go to any place or you see a cinema, you generally see this. There is starvation, there is penury, everybody is engaged in some tremendous austerities. Nobody sleeps, all are meditating, and all are eating very little, frugal lives. And suddenly they come here and see all these things. This Swamiji says, you should have limitations on everything, you should live like this, and then you see distributes such expensive saris to all these students and staff and the devotees, and everybody seems to be living quite a comfortable life. It doesn't look like an ashram which will lead you to self-realization. So I think must have tried to contain herself and restrain herself, but whatever, her emotions got the better of her, and she wrote a huge mail to me. This was running into 5-6 pages. Saying, I came here with great hopes of realizing God and self. I gave up the world outside, thinking that here is where I can teach the students and live a simple life and realize God. But I think I was mistaken. I'm so disillusioned after coming here. Forget about everything else and everybody else. Look at you. You come in silken robes and you come in such a grandeur and so much of pomp and show. And you are telling people to be nice and simple and service-minded and sacrificing. How does it work? This is totally not matching and things like that. Then she also wrote that my relatives, my family, whom she left and came here saying, I'm going to Swamiji's ashram and I'm going to realize self. They were already very kind of doubtful, but when she came here, she wrote back to them also. So I think they advised her, if you don't want to live there, you please come back. You may not understand, but please don't write all these things or speak about it. But she could not contain herself, so she wrote anyways. And writing that, my people told me not to write. Still I am writing because I want to bring it to your notice that you have to change and improve things. This is not how an ashram should be run. This is how spirituality can be attained. I read that whole thing. What can I say about it? I read that whole thing. Then I thought of Janaka because Janaka was a king. See, a king has to be living like a king. When a king walks in, everybody feels that a king has walked in, right? If he wears beggarly attires and not kept himself very well groomed or does not look dignified like a king, then nobody is going to pay respects to that king. They won't believe. So what happens? Janaka would dress up like a king every morning before coming to the office, that is his darbar, and he will sit on his throne, which is bejeweled, and he would be wearing all his ornaments, his silken garments and robes, and he will rule the kingdom like a king. He will pass judgments, he will pass verdicts, he will punish the wrong, he will reward the right, and do everything that is required to be a king, to be like the king. At the end of the day, when he's done with his duties, he will take off all his paraphernalia of the costume and the jewelry and everything, and remove it, and he'll wear some plain cotton, and would sleep on the floor and do his own austerities and sadhana. Again, when the sun rises, he would rise with the rising sun, and then he will dress up and become the king, and the whole day he would be behaving like the king. But by night, he is totally changed. He has given up everything. So, of course, none of you know this, but uh, when earlier I used to be wearing pants and shirts and pajamas and kurtas, a lot of people who used to come here, they were never believing that I am the Swamiji over here. They were, in fact, at some point in time, we went to some place, and when I sat there, the very senior, a very big VIP lady, she came, and she was sitting there, and she was not opening her mouth, not talking anything. And I also did not know how to start the conversation, because first time we had met, we were sitting in the room, and they had brought her because she wanted some guidance or something like that. So I did not know how to start the conversation. She was not starting the conversation. After some 3-4 minutes, which very uncomfortable minutes in silence went by, then I slowly opened my mouth and said, Amma ji, please tell me what is that you have come. Oh, are you the Swamiji? I was waiting for the Swamiji to come. She said, I was waiting for some Swamiji. Her idea was some bearded man, with ochre robes and vibhuti smeared on the forehead, with lot of Rudraksha malas. Somebody like that will come. So she was waiting and not talking at all. Then finally I told, I am the one who can ask me what you want to ask. Then I realized this is not going to work. Because when our mission was very small with only devotees around us, it was okay. They knew what is going on and that there was a way to do it. But when so many people started coming from outside, they knew nothing about us or me. They were not able to sort of comprehend this. Now, what choice do we have? Then I had to say that, okay, we have to change the way I dress and move around, because otherwise they would not understand. So the mission was growing and new people were coming. So then it was changed over to this attire. Actually, this is also a very interesting story. First time I went to Gulbarga, I used to, on one Guru Purnima, I think it's 2016 or something, and first time Bhagwan told me, why are you wearing white kurta pajama? Doesn't look good. I wear some color. Guru Purnima is yellow color because yellow denotes wisdom. So he told me to wear yellow. So with great hesitation, we got some yellow kurta and pajama. And by nature, I'm very shy and I don't like being in the public. That is my original nature. I would like to stay behind and do things. But then he pushed me to the front and then I wore, and there were a lot of comments, and I mean, some were nice comments, some were very bad comments. Somebody even called me that I'm looking like a cup of mango souffle or something like that in that yellow robes. I couldn't say anything. I came back very actually embarrassed, saying that how could I do this? And I said, I don't want to wear these colored clothes. I'm happy with the whites. I was comfortable with whites. But then it changed. He said no. Then slowly things started coming. And one day I was going to Gulbarga. I think it was in 2018. That time he told some guests were coming and there was some little event over there. And while I was just leaving from here, he appeared and told, take a dhoti with you, the ochre dhoti. And we used to keep a lot of his clothing in the cupboard. So I thought maybe he wants to give, because sometimes we used to give his robe or dhoti to some devotees who would come. They will cherish it, keep it as a item to worship. So I carried that dhoti. And then just before the event in Gulbarga, imagine it is 8:30 and 9 o'clock is the event and I am ready already. And then Bhagwan came and told me, why don't you wear a dhoti? This pajama doesn't look nice. I said, no, I cannot wear this dhoti. He said, no, just try, let us see how does it look on you. And hesitatingly, I just wrapped the dhoti around. Then he said, this looks quite good. I think you should maintain this. You should go like this. I knew that he was up to something, because this is how he is. Slowly, steadily, he will push you where he wants you to go. Initially, he won't tell the whole story. He will just release it in pieces and allow you to sort of let that sink in, and then you start changing. So then I wore the dhoti and I was so red-faced, I did not know how will I face the audience, and everybody will giggle and laugh and comment and gossip. But anyway, I came with whatever that it was. And then from there, one day, somebody came and they got a shawl from somewhere. They said, why don't you take this shawl and put it, it looks good, it goes well. But that shawl was not matching the dhoti and kurta. So now somebody else said, no, we'll match it. We'll match the dhoti with your angavastram, with the kurta, so that everything looks like one set. That is how somebody got it done. They tried and tested it, looked good. They said, okay, let us continue. And that is how slowly things started adding. Yesterday I was asking Vinod, how many dhotis and how many kurtas do we have? Because I have no count and I have no idea also. Somebody keeps sending, and if I tell no, I don't want, they feel bad. So they keep sending because their marriage anniversary is there, somebody's birthday is there, some other festival is there. They keep making and sending. So I told, how many do we have? Then I asked them, why we have so many? Then there are two reasons for it. One, I travel a lot. I don't stay alone in India where you can just manage with 5 pairs, keep washing and ironing. When you're traveling for 40 days, 50 days at a stretch in different countries, what we do is that we already send the set of clothes there beforehand. What's the point in carrying suitcases after suitcases which we are not going to reuse because we can't wash in those countries easily. We're always on the move. So that is how these suitcases get dispatched, and they have so many multiple sets of clothing, and that helps to keep the things going. We don't have to worry about what to wear next, what to not wear next. In fact, once we were traveling and our Narsimurtiji lost his suitcase. We were going to Croatia from Germany, I think, or Italy, and he lost his suitcase in Croatia. So it never arrived. So now imagine his plight. He said that I only wear this kurta and pajama. I can't go and buy track pant and t-shirts and come to satsang. And kurta pajama nobody sells in Croatia, right? That's not the clothing. So poor man had to manage with only one pair of kurta pajama for 3 days because he had nothing else. So I was thinking, if I lose a suitcase, which has never happened, can you believe? I've traveled for the last 10 years and never ever I have lost a suitcase. Even if it was missing, it has always been found. And so I never had to suffer through not having clothes. Despite that, I put clothes, extra clothes in hand baggage and everything, just in case we miss a suitcase. At least I have something to wear, because he can at least wear kurta pajama. What do I wear then? And I have to go for satsang. So that's why we have kept multiple options, always safe than sorry. So our people manage that. So don't compare yourself with me. Just because I gave a lecture yesterday saying, no, everybody should wear whites and simple and this and that, and first you do what you are saying. There are people who will think like this. So for that sake, I am clarifying. By the day, I am Janaka, the king. By night, I am Janaka, the renunciate. So if you come to my room and see what do I wear in the room, in fact, these people always get me some things to wear. Like I always like very light cotton clothing. In fact, left to me, I will just wear a cotton half kurta and a maximum a cotton dhoti or anything that goes with it. And those who live with me, they know. The moment I come from here, you won't even believe. Actually, as I walk into the lift to go to my room, I already started removing because I feel this is such a burden on me. I don't even wait till reaching the room. The moment I'm inside the lift, I start unpinning this, removing this, because I just want to get rid of it. So unless I change and wash up and change into the normal, whatever the cottons, I cannot even have my dinner or lunch. It feels so uncomfortable sitting in this. But then I realized that people started respecting this. There was a minister who came first, who used to come earlier too. He saw me, first time he saw me wearing something like that. And he immediately told, Swamiji, this really looks good on you. This is how you should be. Then only people will think of you in a respectful way. So maintain like that, he told me. Then I realized how the world perceives us. How the world perceives us. If you are not dressed well according to your position, they won't respect you. So dress is important. I'm not saying it's not important. Grooming is important, but only so much as per your need, as per your requirement. And if you do not have the detachment to get rid of it by evening saying, hey, this is not who I am, then don't wear it, is what I tell. If Janaka is not capable of removing his crown at the end of the day, then he should not put down the crown in the morning. The Dhritarashtra could never remove his crown, right? He could never empty his chair, vacate his chair. He should not be a king if he cannot vacate the chair next day for a better person. Likewise, everybody has a role. According to role, one must behave. As students, you have a role and responsibility. Behave accordingly. Devotees have their own. Teachers and student or staff have their own. Maintain that kattu, bottu, juttu, whatever we maintain. It applies for boys, girls, both. Your hairstyle, that is your juttu. Your hair dressing, that is your kattu. And bottu means that vibhuti dot that we put. Many people are very shy. I say some sign of your spiritual leanings are good. Be it jewelry, be it your vibhuti or whatever you wear as a mark of. If you don't have that in your tradition, it is a different matter. If it is there, please maintain that. I always encourage that. So these are some of the things that I wanted to bring to your attention. Just because you are not the body and body is also not yours, you don't abandon or neglect your body. It is still a vehicle. It is still a gift of God. It is still something that is infused with divinity and should be used only to that extent, not put to torture or not over pampered. So that is something that you must keep in mind. Already we lost a lot of time, so I'll quickly go through the next ones. So our whole bondage is that we live with the desire to go on enjoying this body. We don't want to give up the body. That is our desire, is the reason for our bondage, is the last we heard. Now in page number 187, shloka number 23. It says, Aho bhuvana kallolaihi vichitraihi drak samuthitam mai ananta maham bodhau chittavate samudyate. A new analogy here. The analogy or the metaphor of an ocean. He says, Aho, again, that wonderment. He has realized another way of this truth. Bhuvana kallolaihi, this whole bhuvana, this whole universe, kallolaihi, this is all like the waves on the ocean. Vichitraihi, in strange kind of waves, all kinds of waves. Drak samuttitam, and they emerge all of a sudden. Not like slowly, but all of a sudden these waves emerge in this ocean of the universe. And what he says is that, Mai ananta maham bhaudav, I am the great big ocean on which these waves are playing. Chittavate samudyate. Chitta means mind, vata means wind. So winds of mind, when they are blowing, samudyate, these waves emerge from this ocean that I am. Now we will break it and understand. His imagination is, imagine the ocean. And when there are huge winds, you will see big waves coming. We all know that. Stormy oceans are there, stormy seas are there. Because of huge winds, by itself, water does not have the habit of jumping up and down. It is the wind that is pushing the water. So the waves are formed. So also, when winds are very strong, strong waves are formed, big waves are formed. When winds are less, very silent, the ocean is very quiet. We all know that. So he says, when I look around at the world, what do I realize? I realize that I am that ocean of consciousness. The whole world is made of consciousness. There is no two ways about it. By now we know the basic fundamental building block of this whole universe is our consciousness, our awareness. On that, multiple things are happening. Like on the screen, multiple pictures are displayed. With the same gold, multiple ornaments are being made. With the same clay, multiple potteries are being made. Likewise, from the same consciousness, the whole world emerges and disappears into it. How? Like waves emerge out of ocean and disappear into the ocean again. But how do they emerge? What is the reason? Why do they suddenly emerge? Drak means suddenly how they emerge? Because there is wind. When suddenly winds increase, the waves increase. This is how the world operates. He has realized it now in his understanding of the truth. He says, I am like the great ocean of consciousness. Waves is the world. And they emerge and fall according to the winds of the mind. Now, what is the wind of the mind? Thought is the wind of the mind. When a thought emerges, emotions emerge. Then emotions emerge, a reaction emerges about those emotions. Suddenly your pure, absolute, motionless consciousness becomes so emotional and also becomes full of restlessness, agitation. That is what is happening around me. He's figured that out. That why these emotions and why all this world and all the things that happen around is because my mind is the reason for it. Whenever the mind gets activated and it entertains a thought, good or bad, then these waves of emotions start emerging and coming up and down. Think of many people say, oh, I have realized the truth and I'm very peaceful. I'm very peaceful. But suddenly one old memory comes in your mind. And then all the emotions associated with memory re-emerge. All of a sudden. Suddenly in 1 second's time you have become so emotional and so nostalgic about something that had happened maybe 50 years ago. Because that one thought in the mind has raised that wave in your consciousness. Otherwise yours was a calm sea. You were peacefully sitting. But one thought, you met somebody, one attachment, infatuation, immediately an emotion starts. And that doesn't take time. It happens just like that, in a trice. As if suddenly winds are blowing and suddenly the waves are rising. This is what the world is all about. The way my mind reacts, that is the way I experience the world. My mind has its own way of doing things. Why? Because manas is about sankalpa, vikalpa, we said. Mind is a bundle of thoughts, memories. And this is what creates emotions in us. So the more thoughts you have, the more waves you will be there in your ocean. That is what I am trying to convey. That's why the first process is to get rid of as many thoughts as possible, especially the difficult ones. Like you couldn't forgive somebody for something that happened in the past. Every time that thought comes, your heart will churn like an ocean. Huge waves will form, a tsunami of emotions. And suddenly you will lose all your discretions and you will get back into that emotional state of disturbance, and you will not be able to deal with your life anymore properly. That is why get rid of as many thoughts, because every thought is a wind, and every wind will raise an emotion. In the sense, every thought will raise an emotion, another wave will form, and the sea will be disturbed. So reduce as many thoughts as possible. Keep good thoughts. Thoughts are required to run in the world, but at least reduce and keep as good, pure, positive, sattvic thoughts, so that the winds are not as strong or as stormy, and your sea is still manageable. It means your emotions are manageable, and you can still retain your peaceful demeanor of the self without getting too agitated. That is why too much of engagement with anything will cause emotions. And emotions, Swami used to say, was loose motions. Used to say emotions are loose motions, no control. Once it comes, can anybody control? Somebody with a bad stomach, they have to just rush to the loo because they can't sit there. It's very risky. Like that, emotions are very risky. Once you get emotional about anything, you get into trouble. It disturbs your inner peace. Both sides of emotions, the happy emotions and the sad, both emotions disturb. Happy emotions are also creating waves inside your consciousness. Suddenly you're excited, jumping all around, talking too much, singing, that all kinds of activity because you're happy. You want to express that joy. And similarly, when you become sad, the other side of emotions, into the extent of self-harm. People go off to that extent. They want to destroy themselves because they're so emotionally trapped in that. So it's like that. If it's a calm sea, your boat is going well. But if it's a stormy one, you don't enjoy the ride, first of all, and on top of that, your survival itself becomes a big issue. So emotions should not take over our discretion. That is the most important thing. The other day, the journalist who had come, he was asking me, social media you do not allow inside your institutions. But today the whole world runs on social media. Instagrams and Facebooks and all kinds of WhatsApps and things like that. How can you not allow these youngsters? What will they learn about the world? Because so much information about the world comes to us through social media. And I told them, no, information of the world is still coming to them. We have news channels, we have their laptops which are updated with whatever they need to know, they get to know. This social media is not something that I appreciate too much because it brings a lot of dirt also. Once you open the window, wind comes in, but mosquitoes also come in like that. So some checks and balances we have put. Then he said that, how will these children mature? In the world outside is different. I said, that, look at the world outside, how terrible it is. These kids are so addicted. This digital addiction is a new pandemic. Children are addicted, parents are addicted, youngsters are addicted, and they make wrong friends, wrong company, and get into their own ruin. Why get into that when you know we can be in trouble? Yes, I understand there are positives to everything, but the negatives right now outweigh the positives of social media. So I do not, it's uncontrolled, it's unrestricted. You see, there's no real regulation that controls the media very well, especially social media or private channels or private, entertainment. It's so uncontrolled, unrestricted. How can I just let them go into that? Then he said, then what you are able to do this, you have an institution, you are able to control. What is the advice for the others who cannot control, who have to deal with the social media, like we are the media people. We have to be connected with social media because now news channels are not watched on the TVs like the old times. Today everybody watches it on their social media. They have to have digital presence more than the physical presence, he said. I said, that's right, changing times. So what do? I said, you can invest in social media. Intellectual investment is okay, where you want to learn something. Social investments are also okay, where you're networking to build your business or connections for a betterment of somebody or yours. But emotional investments should not be made in social media. Don't make unnecessary friendships where you get emotional about things, and that emotions will now hold sway, and then they will take you where they want to. Your boat is capsized. See, winds are too strong. You cannot row the boat. Winds will take the boat wherever they want it to go. You can't control. Once you set the sail, the whole idea of sail is what? Use the wind to move. That's what we say. But if it becomes a storm, the sail cannot handle. The boat will collapse. So emotional investment you don't do. He said that's a wonderful suggestion. Intellectual investment in social media is okay. Social investment is also okay, where you're making connections for your business networking. But emotional investments are not okay, I said. Because emotions are the reason why we lose all control. And once we get into that emotional trap, there is no coming back. It's a chakravyuha. It sucks you in. And that is the reason why I avoid social media, because our youngsters, more than social or intellectual reasons, they get in there for emotional reasons, for companionship, for some kind of friendship, some kind of connection and relationship. All kinds of things. People put their status, Those who are married, they say married. Those who say single, they write single. Those who are neither this nor that, they write in a situationship. That is a new term now. What is that, I asked? It's a situation that we are in. We are neither married, nor we would say we are not married, nor we say we don't want to marry, nor we can say we are friends. This is a one new combination of things which is called in a situationship. I said, you are in a drowning ship, sinking ship, that's all it is. It is not situationship. It is a sinking ship. Because you don't know what you are here for. You don't want to be so committed to say, I am getting married or engaged or whatever, or in a relationship. At the same time, you don't want to call it a friendship, a very platonic connection, or a professional relation. Situationship, it means just guess. One day it could be this, day it could be anything else, because situations change. All kinds of nonsense. What I'm saying that those who are involved in it, they might just defend themselves in the name of freedom and liberty and whatever. But to me, I say, what are you getting into this emotional trap? How many heartbreaks, how many people are in so much of pain and suffering because of no clarity of why they got involved in the first place. And this is where spirituality comes as a great idea to redeem ourselves of these kind of unwanted and unnecessary situations. So I said social media is okay as long as you don't get emotional about it. In fact, if you get emotional about anything, it is not okay. Even emotional about God is not okay. When God becomes your emotional reason to be with God, not a spiritual reason, emotional reason, then you will also struggle, because you would expect God to be the way you want God to be. You want to fit Him into a mold because that is what suits your emotions. But God is not going to be like that. Then what is going to happen? You will feel hurt and terrible and dejected. Because spirituality was not the reason of your connection with God. Emotions were the reasons. You were a helpless, hopeless, hapless person, and then you wanted somebody to fill that void. Suddenly you got hold of one form or name of God. Now you became so emotional about it that you can't get rid of it now. That becomes your baggage. You don't grow. So emotions are always a trouble. Though good emotions, I always say, is better than bad emotions. But net, you should not have these emotions. I'm not saying you should not be sensitive to other people. I'm not saying you become cold to other people. I'm not becoming people like stone-hearted. No, you are kind to others. You are compassionate to others. You are nice to others. You are concerned about others. You are sensitive to others. But you are not helplessly emotional, where you just can't control yourself. You can't discriminate. You don't go that far. That is what is this samsara, what he's saying. This whole wind of mind is these emotions. And the more emotions you store within you, the more potential of such storms in the future. That's why I said the biggest, deepest emotion that troubles us is not being able to forgive. That is the most difficult emotion. All other emotions are okay. I had a good friend, now that we are not in touch, I wish I could meet him. Fine, that is a good emotion. But when you have emotions which are bitter, where you're holding back in your heart against somebody you have not forgiven, that is worser emotion. Because every time that memory comes, the whole sea of consciousness, becomes stormy. And you can't do anything right. You can't do anything right. Right? Some time back, now I was mentioning about that Santro. I had a small car called Santro. That time it was very popular in 2000s, early 2000s. And it was Shah Rukh Khan was the brand ambassador of Santro Zing, so everybody wanted Santro Zing. So I also went and bought, more out of need, because I went and fell from a bike and hurt my knee. And then I realized it is so dangerous to just ride bikes like this across the city, because you can always fall and it can damage you. And that one damage, in fact, I must tell you, those who are in the city, when I fell, what happened is that I was going to meet somebody while I was working. And I was going very fast. On the Alsur Road, there is a slope, near the Gurudwara. So generally everybody goes very fast. When I was going there, an auto rickshaw all of a sudden shifted the lane and came in front of me. And to avoid the auto rickshaw, I had to brake quickly. But at that speed, you cannot brake very easily. And so it skid, and I fell. And the auto rickshaw again went back to his lane and moved away. Didn't even stop to check what happened. I was in a rush. Anyway, I was in a hurry, so I think I had no choice but Then some good Samaritan, somebody stopped the car, they gave some water, they called up somebody from my phone. I had kind of hurt mine. It was not broken, but it was kind of slightly dislocated. So I did not know what to do. Then, of course, people came. I went to the hospital. It took a month to recover. The right knee went bad. Many years later, I was in another place and I was going in an auto rickshaw this time. And behind me, there was a bike person, two boys on a bike, and continuously they were honking, beep, 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 like that continuously in the middle of the market. This auto rickshaw was an old gentleman, an old hand in driving auto, must be driving for last 15, 20 or 30 years in Bangalore area. What he did, he suddenly changed the lane and again changed back, and that bag behind fell and crashed. And I told, what did you do just now? He said, these boys should be taught lessons like this only. That is the auto rickshaw fellow told. Then I realized what happened to me 10 years ago. It was not my fault. I must be irritating that auto rickshaw by continuously honking because I was in a rush to go somewhere. I was getting late. And he also did the same thing, just came out of the lane and went back into the lane, but I fell. And this auto rickshaw on purpose does, so I realized that auto rickshaw people do it on purpose because they're irritated all the time on the road, or continuously they're driving on the road. They have their own problems. And when these youngsters on bikes, they try to overtake them and make noise, they have this trick. And he did it on purpose. And I told, but those boys would have got hurt, I told this fellow. He said, how does it matter? They must learn a lesson. And he went on. And I could not say anything because by the time he had already crossed the street and gone ahead before I realized. And then it took back to that incident where I fell because of an auto rickshaw. So that is how, so be careful. What I'm saying is that when outside people are angry with somebody, but they'll take out the anger on somebody else. They are emotional about somebody, they will do things. But people do these horrible things on purpose. And they don't care whether those boys broke their heads or not. At least I was wearing a helmet and all that stuff. I don't know whether those boys were wearing helmets also. I had no time to even look back and see what happened. So people are like that. When they're emotional, they are very harmful. They're very dangerous. And that auto rickshaw fellow was definitely emotional. So anyways, because of that, I bought a car. Now, after many years, recently I was coming from Jaipura. And we were coming in the car. And in front of me, a Santro was going. It was the same kind of Santro that we had. And now my mind started going, 2003. I don't know where is my Santro, who bought it and where it went, how many hands it has changed. I don't know that poor car is taken care of or not, people are driving it well or not. Because when I sold that Santro, for whatever reason at that time, I cried for 2.5 hours. I felt so bad that we are giving away the car. I didn't want to give it away. It was in my control. I wouldn't have ever sold that. I would have kept it. But that time situations were not good. So then this thought came, where is this car now? And I could feel that whole ocean churning inside my chest. Now I have a better car now. I can easily, much comfortably go. But that emotion of that car, first car. And then, I came back and told these people, can you search? This is the number. Where is that car? And they all searched diligently. They searched and searched, called transport offices and checked whether this number exists, whether any car. And they found that that number exists, but now there is another car registered under that number. It's no more Santro, it is some Maruti something. Then I told, now there is no way I can know where this car went. Because number was given away after a certain time. Maybe the car was destroyed, maybe it was withdrawn or whatever. Now I'll never know because the number is also not. I felt so bad. Then I asked myself, what am I doing? Why am I getting like this? Then I realized this is an old emotion stuck somewhere deep because I let go of the car when I did not want to. And therefore now I'm still emotional about it. When I see any Santro on the road, I start looking for what is the number plate, whether it is ours. It is no more ours. You have given away, you have sold and it's done. Like that the body is. The body is to be given away at some point in time, right? You can't be too emotional about it. People want to hold on to this body and not let it go. I've seen people lying in ventilators for months and years sometimes, but they don't want to let go of their bodies. That attachment, that is emotion, and emotions are very, very dangerous. Anything that you're emotional about, or like having emotions about a car is not a bad emotion. It's not that it's hurting somebody's interest. Having an angry emotion, a hateful emotion, revenge, it is all bad emotions. But this is a good emotion, yet it churns the ocean within your chest. You feel that agitation and the loss of peace, because a thought has occurred, a wind has started, and that has stirred up the entire ocean of peace that you already had. So any desire which is emotional will lead to pain, will lead to at least loss of peace. So he is realizing how the world works. This is how it works, and it happens very sudden. He says, Drak samuthitam. It happens all of a sudden. You don't have time to discriminate also whether I should entertain this or not. It just happens like that. It is lying somewhere hidden in you, and suddenly any little cue can trigger that reaction. And it happens all of a sudden. As Arjuna says in Bhagavad Gita, Atakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Why do people commit sins in this world? Anichannapi varshneya, oh Krishna, though they don't want to commit that, they don't want to do the wrong thing, still as if forced to do the wrong thing, under some influence, they commit wrong and do wrong things. Why does it happen? He asks. Atha kena prayuktayam, what makes it happen? Papam charati purusha, people make mistakes. Anichannapi vashne, they don't want to do it, they know it is not good to do it, yet they end up doing it. Baladiva niyojita, as if being forced to do it, as if it is helpless, they're helpless in front of it. What happens? And Krishna unveils to Arjuna. He reveals the secret. He says, Kama yesha krodha yesha rajoguna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma viddhaya enam iha vairinam. He says, these two, Kama and Krodha, the desire and the anger, they come just like that, like a sudden storm which rises without notice. All of a sudden they come. Kama yesha, Krodha yesha. Why? Because it is because of the Rajoguna in people. Rajoguna is selfish guna. It wants for itself everything. It is that selfish energy in us which wants everything for itself. And if it is only working to satisfy our ego and attachments. Rajoguna only works for satisfying our personal ego and attachments. Sattva works for satisfying the good, the godly things. And Tamoguna, again I say, it does not even want to have any ambition. It is just does not want to do anything. That is Tamoguna. Rajoguna wants to do, but only for one's own sake. And Sattvaguna still wants to do, but for everybody's sake. That is the difference of action that happens in three gunas. So Rajoguna is the reason why these desires and anger come. Because if desires are fulfilled, there is no anger. If desires are not fulfilled, then anger. So this is the reason, and they come like a sudden storm. Uninformed. Therefore, people don't have even time to think and react. By the time they are already swept. See, when a storm is there, in our country it is far less. But once in Raipur hospital, a huge storm came because it was an open ground, and winds are very, very strong. It is a plateau. And the hospital is just standing alone in front of, in a large, vast, empty land. So that storm came. It blew off all the doors, windows, the glass entrance, everything broke. And it threw it meters away. That kind of a storm. And nobody expected that because it was a mild wind which was blowing just like that. But those huge empty lands there, suddenly it can gather pace and momentum and become a storm. A dust storm. And then it just broke all the things. Luckily no patient was harmed. But it was a big lesson for us that this also can happen. So we had to fortify everything better. But I saw that suddenly the storm picks up without you realizing. Like cloud burst in Himachal and other things, now people are suffering. Suddenly the cloud burst. Nobody till last moment everything seemed nice and okay. And suddenly a cloud has burst somewhere up there in the mountains, and the whole of that is flowing down, and houses and people and cars and trees, everything is washed away. It happens so suddenly that there is no time to react and respond to it. You're just carried away. Likewise, my emotions, my mind is the wind that suddenly blows and causes the rise of emotions and all these experiences of the world, good, bad, ugly. Otherwise, I am a peaceful, calm sea. Without mind, I am a peaceful sea of consciousness. Mind enters, then enters the winds, and once the wind comes, the sea becomes stormy. All the waves of emotions rise and fall, and that is what is happening around me. Oh, I have discovered it. Eureka, I have found it. That is how it works here. So that is the discovery of Janaka, which we all know, but this is Janaka's first-hand experience. So he's so excited about what he has just discovered. He continues in the same tone, 189th page, 24th shloka. He says, Mayananta Mahambodhau, I am the great big ocean. Chittavate prashamyati. When these winds of chitta, winds of mind prashamyati, they calm down. When there is no wind at all, it becomes a peaceful non-stormy sea, what happens that abhagya jiva vanijau, abhagya, abhagi means unfortunate. So abhagya, due to unfortunate circumstances or misfortune, jiva vanijaha. Who is jiva vanija? Jiva is, you know, that individual soul. That's an illusion again, that I exist as a soul. And vanijaha means a tradesman, a trader, a businessman. In the old times, business people who used to have sea trades, right? They used to take their ships and go to other lands, like we have been learning in the last couple of weeks with all these Arab and African nations coming, that how India and these nations had a trade relationship where our merchants would go in their ships and go all the way to Middle East and go to the Eurasia and such lands, faraway lands up to Greece, Egypt, and they will sell what they sell and they will bring things from there too. So that is what happens when the seas are having winds. Winds means sail needs wind. Without wind, the ships don't move. So that also requires, but too much wind also ships cannot survive. But only when winds are there, the ships can sail. Otherwise, very difficult to move in the ocean. So when good winds are there, that is why when I went to Cape Town, I call it Cape of Good Hope, South Africa. Because that is the time when from Atlantic Ocean you are transitioning towards Indian Ocean. That is the time when the winds change, and that's why all the ships used to sail eastwards or westwards according to that part of the year when the winds were convenient for their sailing. So people used to always travel during one part of the year towards west because winds were blowing this way. There was a nice tailwind, so they could go faster. And when they had to return, they again would wait for the winds to turn, and then they will sail back. So that is how the Cape of Good Hope is the place where the winds turn and people can sail easily from Atlantic Ocean to the Indian Ocean and come here. So this is what is the principle of shipping or movements in the sea. The winds are the reason why ships move. That is, when the winds are convenient and right, then tradesmen carry on with their business. The merchants go out to do their business. That is what happens. So he says, when your mind is absolutely peaceful, this jiva which you think exists and is busy in this business of giving and taking in this world. Give something, take something. This whole world is about give and take. All the business it does and earns sometimes dukkha, sometimes sukha, sometimes profit, sometimes loss. This is a part of business people. One day they'll be profitable, one day they'll make loss. So they go through these emotions of positive and negative. So he's comparing, it's a metaphorical comparison which says, when the winds are silent, there is no wind, sea is absolutely calm, these tradesmen unfortunately cannot continue with their business trades. Why? Because there is no supporting wind to help them move. If there are good winds, a travel journey can happen in probably a month. Same thing when there is no wind or there is headwind, would take 3 months in the sea. That is how people used to be very smart when to leave their country and when to return. And they must return within that time because winds will change and then they will not be able to return. They'll get trapped in another nation. They'll lose all that they have earned in spending to survive. So it was very, very well planned for them. So he's saying, when my mind is calm, there are no winds in the sea. And the sailor or the businessman or the merchant, naval merchant, is unfortunately going to lose everything now. Why? Because there is no business now. He can't move his ship anymore. So he compares that, says, Abhagyat Jiva Vanijao, the tradesman of this Jiva, the individual soul, I and mine, unfortunately, Vinashwaraha gets destroyed. Destroyed doesn't mean the ship goes and sinks. It means his business gets destroyed. He has no reason to sail anymore. Why? Because there is no wind to support him to move forward. The consciousness has become so calm. So the idea is that till there is a thought in the mind, this business of I and mine, us versus them goes on. Profits and losses goes on. Happiness and sadness goes on. Good times and bad times goes on. As if this jiva is the trade merchant whose only job in the world is give and take, lose and gain, experience joys and sorrows. All that will end when there are no winds to sail the boat. That business itself cannot exist anymore. If there are no convenient winds, why would anybody go out in the sea? That is the idea, that when your mind has no desire, why would this jiva engage with the world? Why would you have to go through all these kinds of fulfillment of desires and struggle towards it? Nobody needs to do anything. You are peaceful as you are. That is the idea. That mind and the desires are the reason why we do anything in the world. If there are no desire, nobody needs to do anything in the world, isn't it? It's the desire which makes us work. Good desires make us do good work. Bad desires make us do bad work. But desires are the reason. And that is why even I say, for example, if we did not have a desire to build institutions and shelter people or give education, why would I have to work? Kimichan kasya kamaya shariram anusvanjaret. Why should you put your body to difficulty? For what sake? For what desire? If there is no desire, body need not undertake any difficulty at all. But we have to put, why? Because we have good desires. What is the good desire? Let everybody grow. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu nirame. These are good desires. But good desires also require action. And that action requires effort. So if you have no desire, there is no effort. Nothing needs to be done in this world. Everything is good as it is. But even if you have a good desire like that of a jnani also must go to work. Why? Because he has a good desire to bring peace, harmony, and hope and succor to people. Like that, Janaka has to continue as a king and behave as a king because he has to maintain the kingdom and help those Agyanis to tide over their own issues. Like the boatsman, remember in the Shankaracharya's example it is. Swayam tirnaha bhiva bhavarnavam janana hetu nanyanapi tarayantaha. He has already crossed the river, but he comes back with the boat to help others also cross the river. That is the way of the Jnani. So Jnani also works, but he does not go through this profit loss of a jiva. I have earned something or I have lost something. Today I am happy, tomorrow I am sad. Those emotions don't affect the Jnani because he does not have that kind of desire which is emotional. He has spiritual desire, but spiritual desires are good. They don't disturb you as much as emotional. So emotion is the reason why we all suffer in the world with all kinds of ups and downs. You understand that? So if there are no emotions and no desires of that emotional nature, you don't have to deal with this world and its vagaries. You can stay in the peaceful state of consciousness. But it is not given to all. Why? Because people are destined to do good or bad. Somebody has wrote to me, they told, you written everything is perfect, what is there to do? Kim karaniyam, kim akaraniyam, everything brahmamayam. Then why you are working, why everybody is working? I said, I am destined to do that. Adi Shankara was destined to do what he did. He was not supposed to build hospitals and schools. He was supposed to do Advaita Prachara. Ramana Maharshi was not supposed to build hospitals, schools, or run Annadanam. He was supposed to stay in his ashram, and whoever sought him his advice, he was supposed to give the advice. Was poverty not there during Ramana Maharshi's time? Were people not sick and desolate and despondent? Yes. But he did not choose to do anything about it. He chose to be himself, and that was his way. We have been given the task of Atmano Mokshatam and Jagat Hitaya both. So we have to fulfill both the duties. That is why we are working. But the moment you have the desire of this to do good to others, then you have to put efforts. Then your body has to go through whatever it has to go through, mind has to go through. As long as you are not getting emotional about it, you can still remain steady and your ship will still continue. Because the moment you become emotional, there will be a storm and ship will sink. When you are not emotional about it, good winds are there. Those good winds are taking us forward in our mission. So that is the idea, that your mind is the reason. That is why Manayeva Manushyanam Karanam Bandha Mokshayaho. Mind is the reason for one's bondage or liberation. Then this is the last sloka of this chapter, 2.25. It is on 190 page, the next page itself. It says, Mayananta Maham Bodho Ashcharyam Jiva Vichayaha Udyanti Gnananti Khelanti Pravishanti Swabhavataha. Again the same wave and the ocean idea. How wondrous are the waves of this ocean. Jiva Vichaya. What are these waves? Jivas are the waves. One person is born, one person is dying, another person is great, another person is small, another person is very intelligent, another person is dull. Like this, so many types of waves are playing on this ocean of consciousness. Remember, his ocean is not just his own consciousness. Everybody's collective consciousness is what he calls as ocean. And in that ocean, so many people's jivas are coming and going. Children are born, elderly are dying, somebody is sick, somebody is healthy, somebody is rich, poor. All kinds of waves of all sizes and shapes are playing on this ocean of consciousness. How beautifully, and he says how wonderful it is. He's bewildered by this very understanding now. He's wonderstruck that, oh, all this birth and death and good and bad and ugly and beautiful and rich and poor is all waves playing on this ocean of consciousness. They are all same. They look different, but momentarily they look different. Next moment they all become one with the ocean, they become same. How wonderful, that very thought itself is so amazing, that he is enjoying this discovery, this understanding itself. And what he says, what are these waves doing? Udyanti, they rise. Then what they do? Gnananti, they collide with each other, they clash. Khelanti, they play. Pravishanti, they merge back in the ocean, they enter the ocean back. Swabhavataha, by their very nature. That is the nature of the waves. That they rise and they fall. That is the nature of the waves. There are different kinds. They play, they clash. People fight. There are wars happening. There is peace happening. There are people doing nice things. There are people not doing nice things. But all these are waves on the consciousness. Beyond their good, bad, ugly things, they are made of same consciousness. A murderer or a thief or a criminal who is doing the wrong thing also is able to do because of the consciousness that he has. Of course, his use is wrong. But his consciousness only enables that person also to achieve what they achieve, right? It's nothing other than that. This discovery is making him so feel, in that wonderment he's saying, how wonderful is this whole thing going on around me. I just realized he might have punished a criminal and he would have rewarded let's say a pandit. Now he says, pandit was also a wave and the criminal also was a wave on the ocean of consciousness. They look different, they behave differently, but then at the end they were also the same consciousness, they were not different. This is what is samadarshinaha. This is what is equal vision of the pandita, of the great jnanis. They can see equality. They will still do what they need to do with you, but they are not doing it with any emotions in it. They are doing it for the sake of doing it. Why? Somebody makes a mischief in the class. Now the teacher has to take some action. If he doesn't take the action, he's setting a wrong example. He's almost normalizing such a behavior. But the teacher is doing that not with hatred. Teacher is doing with only concern for the student's welfare and the welfare of the class. See, emotions, and that is what those waves which are stormy should not happen inside you. Waves will happen, there is no choice. Thoughts will come, waves will happen, and people will behave differently because their minds are different, driven by different winds. But how does a jnani look at the whole thing? Beyond the size, shapes and types of waves, he sees the oneness of it all. Oneness of it all. That is the beauty. The jnani also is a wave also. Jnani, being in the world, is also a wave, but he identifies himself with the water of the ocean and not with the wave. He says, yes, I also exist amongst you, just like you. I also have a body, mind and everything else that is needed to perform the things in the world. But all the time I'm aware, I'm conscious of the fact that I am the ocean. And wave is a temporary existence which will only stay so long. Holding on to a wave saying it should remain forever is foolishness. Somebody who sits by the ocean and watches. I sit in Fiji, our ashram is there. Outside there is a beautiful sea. Nothing you have to do, just sit there and watch the waves up and down, up and down. You will go into a state of bliss because you will think like Janaka. This whole universe is consciousness, the sea. And these waves are coming and going, and they're so playful sometimes. Looks like they're jumping and coming, giggling and laughing and singing to themselves and coming. It feels like that. Sometimes when the moon is very strong and the high tide comes, looks like they're all yelling and fighting and arguing and coming towards the beach. In the mind, you feel like that because they're so aggressive. They're coming with great gusto and then they're throwing all the garbage at our ashram beach and then they go back. And in the morning, everything is so pleasant, as if they're all smiling, singing, humming and playing and coming. So that is the imagination of Janaka. That singing, playing, humming and being sweet and nice is also an imagination. And those heavy, aggressive, angry, frustrated, argumentative, fighting waves also is imagination. Both are made of the same water. So all kinds of people in the world are made of the same consciousness is Janaka's conclusion. It is nothing other than that. So what is there? That is why Sarvam Brahmamayam. What is there to achieve here? What is there not to achieve here? Let it be as it goes on. But if there is a divine will, you must do service, you must raise an institution, you must help people, then you should do. If the divine will say, stay quiet, calm in your ashram, simply stay silent, be in a Mauna Samadhi, so be it. Who is right, who is wrong? That is what the Sadashiva Brahma does. Who is right here, who is wrong here? From the consciousness point of view, everything is water. There is no wrong, right. from the ultimate, that is why sukha, dukkha, labha, labha, jaya, ajayo doesn't exist. A yogi will be able to stay in that state. That is why Krishna tells Arjuna, sukha dukkha samay kritva, labha, alabha, jaya, ajayo, tato yuddhaya yujyasva, naivam papam vapsyasi. He says sukha, dukkha, labha, alabha, means gain, losses. Treat that all as equal. Tasmat yogat yujyasva. After having become a yogi, fight the battle, he says. Before becoming a yogi, if you fight the battle, the good and bad of it will stick to you. But with this understanding, if you fight the battle, naivam papam avapsyasi, no sin will come to you. It means no merit also will come to you for this. No reactions will come to you. No consequences will come to you. Why? You are not associating yourself with this whole idea of doing and enjoying, karta and bhokta. You are the consciousness on which everything is happening. Yet you go and fight the war nevertheless. Why? Because you are also one of the waves. While you are the ocean, you are also one of the waves which is now formed to do this dharma yuddha of Kurukshetra. So do your part and be done and gone. You get my point? That is a simple thought process. This thought process is very redeeming. Then you don't get attached to anything in the world. It's like getting attached to a particular wave and saying this wave should never die. This wave should ever remain on the ocean. It should ever remain permanently on the ocean. How is it possible, you would say? That asking itself is a duragraha, they say, the wrong ask. It is not right. This is what is being said. So all the things are happening in the world as per whatever has been destined or divinely designed. And one need not be too insistent upon anything. Just be free. As it comes, take it as it comes. And deal with it. And don't be too demanding of things. That is what it's being it's said. And the jnani who realizes that all this is done by the guna. So the guna is a concept in our scriptures. You know, we have rajoguna, tamoguna and sattva-guna. Accordingly we behave. Sattva-guna people are always quiet, nice and calm and spiritual. Rajoguna is always aggressive, active, cannot sit quiet. Other tamogunas are there, they don't care what happens in the world, they are in their own world. People behave differently because of guna. That's what Krishna also says, prakritiye kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha. Ahankara vimuda atma kartaham iti manyate. The fool, arrogant fool thinks, I am doing this. I means I have control over it. I can do it. Like the ocean thinks I have control over the waves. No, it doesn't have any control. Winds have the control though. And winds are these gunas, which are there, the thoughts of the mind of several lifetimes of behavior and habits. These are controlling our actions. And we think we are controlling our actions. No, these gunas in us are controlling our actions. And where are the gunas lying? In our mind. So purification of mind means purification of gunas. Purification of guna means purification of your actions. Purification of action means realization of the self. So getting our gunas to purify, replace tamoguna with rajas, rajoguna with sattva, that is how one improves in life. And finally all the three can be discarded, you become the consciousness. So when people are lazy, I recommend action. But they are too active, they are not able to sit in one place and think and listen to one thing. I tell you, cut down your actions and try to be a little calm in your life. Too much of action is no. No, but I am doing seva only. I told I don't need you to do seva now. Just sit down and listen to what I am saying. You need to control your rajoguna. So different strokes for different folks. Different people are given different medicine according to their need. A guru knows whom to tell what. I think that's all for this chapter. And there's one more nice shloka from Bhagavad Gita. I just picked it up just to tell you people. My throat is telling enough of your talking, enough of your rajoguna, calm down, sattva guna now. Tattvavittu mahabaho guna karma vibhagayoho guna guneshu vartanta iti matvana sujjate. So how does the jnani behave when he knows everybody is driven by their own gunas? There is little he can do. He cannot tell this person behave like this. Even if he tells, he won't behave. So what does he do? Jnani. Jnani realizes guna guneshu vartante. These gunas are the reason for whatever is happening and whatever is being done. And what happened? Iti matva na sajjate. The jnani does not get disturbed by this. He knows, poor people, all these are minds and which are driven by their gunas. That's why all the storm in the sea, all the chaos in the society is because they're driven by their guna. They're rajasic. They're selfish. So if you want to remain peaceful, realize that all this is being done by that winds of the mind, which are nothing but the gunas. So when can you have good winds? When you have good gunas in people. That's why education is important, service is important, all these activities are important to realize this, that everything is run because of gunas and you should be not too attached. And also it will help you not to get attached with forms and names. Winds cause waves. You cannot insist that wave remains forever. Like that this is my child, this is my father, this is my mother, my friend, you cannot insist that they will remain with you forever. It is not possible. They will come and go. And this time they have come to you, next time they'll go to somebody else. These relationships are also to be treated only so much with so much of interest and emotion, not beyond that. That is how it is. I wanted to close it with a beautiful poem because this poem is something that we learned very early. It's by Harivansh Rai Bachchan. You know, Harivansh Rai Bachchan is the father of Amitabh Bachchan, the great Big B. But he was a great poet, very deep. So I just was thinking that how this world is just Jagat comes and goes, waves come, form, go. But we are the ocean. Ocean has no problem which wave has come now and which wave went. It doesn't say, oh, I lost so many waves this morning. It doesn't say like that. Because it knows the water is the same. Whether waves come and go, water remains. It has not become less or more. So that idea, he says, beautiful call, jo beet gayi so baat gayi, it is said. What has happened, bygones. Let the bygones be bygones. Let us not dwell in those past memories and suffer. And not be insistent that things should remain permanent in this impermanent world. So it says, jo beet gayi so baat gayi, जीवन में एक सितारा था, माना वह बेहद प्यारा था, वह डूब गया तो डूब गया. There was a star, let us say, in the sky. It was very beautiful. It was very dear. But one day the star dies. Every star dies, right? We know that stars start with the red giant, they become then white dwarf and whatever, and then finally they disappear. They disappear from the face of the sky. Every day, every night, millions of stars are dying. And millions are being born. So it says, अंबर के आनंद को देखो, कितने इसके तारे टूटे, कितने इसके प्यारे छूटे, जो छूट गए फिर कहाँ मिले, पर बोलो टूटे तारों पर कब अंबर शोक मनाता है, जो बीत गई सो बात गई. It says so many stars are born in the sky, so many stars die. And it is a daily process for the sky. But when did the sky sit and lament the loss of the stars or celebrate the birth of new ones? Never. It remained itself. The sky remains itself. The stars come and go. When did it lament the loss or when did it celebrate the new arrivals? Never. It remains steady because it knows that's the nature of the world. So the sky never cried or lamented. So jo beet gayi, like that, be like that in this world. What happens, happens. What is gone is gone. Sitting and crying over it is no use. There are two more stanzas. Should I say or is this enough? Next is about a garden. What happens in a garden? जीवन में वह था एक कुसुम थे जिस पर नित्य निछावर तुम वह सूख गया तो सूख गया. There was a flower in your garden. It was very beautiful and you loved it. You adored it like the dahlia of Kodaikanal. You admired it. You enjoyed it. But then वह सूख गया तो सूख गया. One day it dries up, it withers away. It will happen. मधुबन की छाती को देखो. Look at the chest or the garden, the existence of the garden. Sukhi iski kitni kaliyan. How many buds have dried up in this garden? They never even became flowers. They dried up before that. Murjhai kitni vallariyan. So many of these vallaria means those tendrils. So many of them have withered away with time in the garden. Jo murjhai fir kahan khili. Once it got withered, did it ever bloom again? It's gone once for all. पर बोलो सूखे फूलों पर कब मधुबन शोर मचाता है. When does Madhuban or the garden make a noise about, I have lost so many flowers, they dried up and they never bloomed again, oh what a loss. Or when did the Madhuban, the garden, celebrate the arrival of new flowers with pomp and show? Both did not exist. It came, it went, and the garden is garden. It is not affected by how many flowers came in this season, how many went. The garden remains garden. It has no qualms about it. It doesn't insist on permanence of things. So also we should not as humans. And this is the most important. Please understand the significance of it, okay? It's about a wine shop or in villages you see these toddy shops will be there, right? And all these drunkards, every night they will be found there. That is their permanent evening address. So they all be sitting and drinking, and they drink from what? They drink from mud cups, clay pots. And the toddy is also stored in clay pots and also served in small clay cups. That is a common thing, and if you are from a village, you know that happens. So understand the deeper significance. Though he compares it with a wine shop with where these clay pots and clay cups are there, and there are these drunkards queued up to enjoy the wine, but then these clay pots break, these clay cups break. But do you think the drunkard is interested in the clay cups? He is interested in the wine. He is interested in the toddy. He is not interested in, oh, I want in this cup only, then only I get intoxicated. He knows cup is of no consequence. The wine inside is of consequence. That quality of wine will give him the intoxication, not these cups. So how many cups break every day inside a winery or a wine shop? Do you think it affects the wine shop or the drunkards? No, they are interested in the drink, not in the cups and shapes of the saucers and pans and pots. And that is the idea in the next one. So understand it the right perspective. Don't think that I am encouraging drinking here. I am only telling you, because he is a poet, he has used the best imagery that he can. But very beautiful. He says, जीवन में मधु का प्याला था, तुमने तनमन दे डाला था, वह टूट गया तो टूट गया. You had a very favorite cup of yours. Whenever you went to that shop, you only drank in that clay cup. But one day it broke. Now what happens? Madhuralaya ka aangan dekho. Look at the yard of that wine shop. कितने प्याले हिल जाते हैं, गिर मिट्टी में मिल जाते हैं. How many cups break every day? How many of them fall and become one with the earth? जो गिरते हैं कब उठते हैं? Once they fall and break, do they ever come back to their original shape? Never. पर बोलो टूटे प्यालों पर कब मदिरालय पछताता है? But on those broken cups, when did the wine shop cry? Because this is the nature of those cups, they will fall. So जो बीत गई सो बात गई. What has happened has happened. And this is the crux of the poem, which says, मृदु मिट्टी के हैं बने हुए प्याले फूटा ही करते हैं. They are made of soft clay. They will break. That is their nature. You can't ask them to be remaining permanent. It will happen. लघु जीवन लेकर आए हैं प्याले टूटा ही करते हैं. They come with a short life. And they are going to break. They are going to die. Thinking that they will remain permanently is foolishness. They will break. फिर भी मदिरालय के अंदर मधु के घट हैं, मधु प्याले हैं. Still inside a Madhuralaya where the wine is being served, there are more cups, there are more pots in which it is stored. Nobody cares about what fell and broke just now. जो मादकता के मारे हैं वो मधु लूटा ही करते हैं. Those who are interested in the intoxication, they come to the shop nevertheless. Whether they had the same cup like last evening or a new cup, they don't care. They have come for drinking, not for enjoying the size and shape of the cups. So what happens? वो कच्चा पीने वाला है जिसकी ममता घट प्यालों में, जो सच्चे मधु से जला हुआ कब रोता है चिल्लाता है. He says these are immature people who cry about, oh, my cup is gone, how do I drink today? They say, give me another cup, I'm here to drink, that is most important for me. So those who are immature, they cry about these names and forms. Those who are mature, they go for the substance. Doesn't matter God comes in which form, they're interested in the divinity, not in the shape and size of the container in which the God appears. They are very clever. Those who are clever drinkers, those who are wise ones, those who are intelligent ones, they have no problem with which cup it is being served in. What happened to the cup that they liked? They are okay with any cup because they are interested in the content of it. So, jati na pucho sadhu ki pooch lijiye gyan. Don't ask which caste you come from, what is your background. Learn the wisdom and be happy. Wherever it comes from, it is okay. So he writes very beautifully. जो सच्चे मधु से जला हुआ वो कब रोता है चिल्लाता है. When does he make a fuss about which cup he is drinking from? He is interested in his wine. Likewise, जो बीत गई सो बात गई. What has happened, it has happened. Don't sit and lament and get stuck there and create memories and suffer. Best is to be done with it. Because every time the memory comes, it will create another storm of emotions within. It will create another set of issues. And it will disturb your absolute peace, that consciousness. That's why the sannyasis don't carry anything. Even if you give them something, next place they'll give it away to somebody else. They don't want to keep with them. They don't want to hold on to memories. We are all clicking pictures, posting. All the time our job is to create memories. But the memories are the reason why all the storm happens in our hearts, good and bad. So he's saying what has happened, let it go, let it go. Like the waves have to come and go, just let them go. Don't insist upon their permanence. Live a life of peace and freedom by being aware of the impermanence of all these existences and be focused on the permanence of the self. Then you can be at peace and you can do what is right. You can read this poem in your own leisure time. It is like so many poets have brought in so much of wisdom by using so much of imagery. Because why I particularly like this, because Janaka is going on using so many metaphors and imagery to explain his joy. Same thing Arvind Rai Bachchanji has written, this idea of letting go in various ways, from the sky and the stars to the garden and the flowers to the wine shop and the pots. All these is the same idea, the great wisdom of our scriptures, but you must experience it to enjoy it. So how should we live in the world? There is a nice song, they'll sing it, that will close. Hange irbeku samsaradalli. How should we live in the world? Very much like what I said, as it was said in the old times, you know. They say children come, they make sand castles, they enjoy, they play, and while going, they just kick it and destroy it and go. They are not attached to those castles. They are like that. They derive same amount of joy in building it, playing with it, and destroying it. I have seen children do that. Even we have done that. Like that, he says the whole thing is a fair. People come, they meet each other, they buy things, and then they go their way at the end of the fair. The world is like that. It's a shelter. Somebody comes, builds the shelter, or stays in the shelter. Next morning leaves. Nothing is permanent. That is the idea. So don't get too attached.
Olesa, Lesa, Olesa, 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 ಹ್ಯಾಂಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಹ್ಯಾಂಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಪ್ರಾಚೀನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಗೆ ಬರೆದಿತ್ತು, ಪ್ರಾಚೀನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಗೆ ಬರೆದಿತ್ತು, ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಪಕ್ಷಿ ಅಂಗಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಕುಳಿತಂತೆ, ಪಕ್ಷಿ ಅಂಗಳದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದು ಕುಳಿತಂತೆ, ಆ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾರಿ ಹೋದಂತೆ, ಆ ಕ್ಷಣದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾರಿ ಹೋದಂತೆ, ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ನಾನಾ ಪರಿಯಲಿ ಸಂತೆ ನೆರೆದಂತೆ, ನಾನಾ ಪರಿಯಲಿ ಸಂತೆ ನೆರೆದಂತೆ, ನಾನಾ ಪಂಥವ ಹಿಡಿದು ಹೋದಂತೆ, ನಾನಾ ಪಂಥವ ಹಿಡಿದು ಹೋದಂತೆ, ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಆಡಿ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿದಂತೆ, ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಆಡಿ ಮನೆ ಕಟ್ಟಿದಂತೆ, ಆಟ ಸಾಕೆಂದು ಅಳಿಸಿ ಹೋದಂತೆ, ಆಟ ಸಾಕೆಂದು ಅಳಿಸಿ ಹೋದಂತೆ, ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ, ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು.
ಕಂಡಂತೆ ವಸತಿ ಕಾರನು ವಸತಿ ಕಂಡಂತೆ
ಹೊತ್ತಾರೆದ್ದು ಹೊರಟು ಹೋದಂತೆ ಹೊತ್ತಾರೆದ್ದು ಹೊರಟು ಹೋದಂತೆ ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಸಂಸಾರ ಪಾಶವ ನೀರೇ ಬಿಡಿಸಯ್ಯ ಸಂಸಾರ ಪಾಶವ ನೀರೇ ಬಿಡಿಸಯ್ಯ ಕಂಸಾರಿ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲರಾಯ ಸಂಸಾರ ಪಾಶವ ನೀರೇ ಬಿಡಿಸಯ್ಯ ಕಂಸಾರಿ ಪುರಂದರ ವಿಠಲರಾಯ ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಪ್ರಾಚೀನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಗೆ ಬರೆದಿತ್ತು ಪ್ರಾಚೀನದಲ್ಲಿ ಹ್ಯಾಂಗೆ ಬರೆದಿತ್ತು ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸಂಸಾರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಾಗೆ ಇರಬೇಕು. ಬೋಲೆ ಸಾ ರೇ ಸಾ ಬೋಲೆ ಸಾ ಬೋಲೆ ಸಾ ರೇ ಸಾ ಬೋಲೆ ಸಾ ಬೋಲೆ ಸಾ ರೇ ಸಾ ಬೋಲೆ ಸಾ ಬೋಲೆ ಸಾ ರೇ ಸಾ ಬೋಲೆ ಸಾ. सर्वसुगुण सिंधवे सकल सुजन बंधवे सर्वसुगुण सिंधवे सकल सुजन बंधवे गुरवे मधुसूदनाय महितमंगलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय महितमंगलम्. दीन दुखित पोषकाय दान धर्म प्रेरकाय दीन दुखित पोषकाय दान धर्म प्रेरकाय सर्वलोकहितरकाय सर्वमङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय महितमङ्गलम्. वेदनादवर्धकाय विश्वशान्तिस्थापकाय वेदनादवर्धकाय विश्वशान्तिस्थापकाय ब्रह्मज्ञानबोधकाय दिव्यमङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय महितमङ्गलम्. सदय हृदय राजिताय सुमन सदन शङ्कराय सदय हृदय राजिताय सुमन सदन शङ्कराय शरणमुक्तिकारणाय मोक्षमङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय महितमङ्गलम्. सत्य साईन प्रियाय सत्य प्रेम विग्रहाय सत्य साईन प्रियाय सत्य प्रेम विग्रहाय नित्य शुद्ध निर्मलाय नित्यमङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय दिव्यमङ्गलम् सद्गुरवे मधुसूदनाय महितमङ्गलम्. ॐ जय जगदीश हरे स्वामी सत्य साई हरे भक्तजना संरक्षक भक्तजना संरक्षक पति महेश्वर. ॐ जय जगदीश हरे शशिवदना श्रीकरा सर्वा प्राणपते स्वामी सर्वा प्राणपते आश्रित कल्पलतेका आश्रित कल्पलतेका आवद्बान्धव. ॐ जय जगदीश हरे माता गुरुदैवं मर्यन्तयुनीरे स्वामी मर्यन्तयुनीरे नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नाद ब्रह्म जगन्नाथ नागेन्द्राशय. ॐ जय जगदीश हरे. ओंकार रूप नारायण 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 ओम नारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम सत्यनारायण नारायण ओम जय सद्गुरुदेवा शांति 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 समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु समस्त लोका सुखिनो भवन्तु ओम शांति 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 जय बोलो भगवान श्री सत्य साई बाबा जी की जय जय बोलो सद्गुरु श्री मधुसूदन साई जी की जय